All right. Anyway, next game, Ravens at the Bengals. The line opened up Ravens -11.5. It's up to 13. So who do you like in this game?
Yeah, so I like Baltimore in this one. I know the Bengals have won back-to-back games as underdogs. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it again. The Ravens are a well-rounded team. They have a strong defense that's played pretty well this year, and their offense is getting back on track. Lamar Jackson's looking better. He's learning how to play behind the Ravens' offensive line that is, not as strong as it was last year. And he just looks more dynamic as a runner. I do think he was dealing with some minor knee injury at the midpoint of the season that was mentioned on the injury report once or twice. But really, outside of that 1 week, it hasn't been mentioned, but it may have been bugging him even just a little bit. I think that's going to help them to kind of run roughshod on the Ravens, especially with J.K. Dobbins looking well. I think that's gonna be their big advantage over the Bengals. They're gonna score a lot, and I just don't see Brandon Allen as good as he played against the Texans. I don't think he's gonna have as much success moving the ball against the Ravens. I know they might be without a couple defensive backs, the Ravens. So the possibility of a backdoor cover here does exist. That's why I'm not going to bet heavily on this line, if at all. I have it down for 0 to 1 unit on the Ravens right now. And, if they're without the two defensive backs, I may end up switching. Like, I'm not positive, but I think matchup-wise, the Ravens should win this game if all goes well. So I'm probably going to stick with them. I'm pretty 95% sure I'll be on them no matter what. I'm just not sure I'm going to bet this game.
Okay. Yeah, kind of like what you said. If the Ravens are down a couple cornerbacks again, they weren't really penalized for that against the Giants because Daniel Jones wasn't healthy, and they weren't penalized for that against the Jaguars because Jacksonville's just an abomination, So they weren't penalized for that. I think they could be penalized for that in this game. Brandon Allen has a very good game against the Texans. Granted, Houston's defense is trash, but he did play well, and he has good receivers. T. Higgins, AJ Green, and then he could throw to Giovanni Bernard over the middle of the field. So I think there's an avenue for the Bengals to score some points if the Ravens are missing some starters on defense, as they've had in the past couple of weeks. But if they get their guys back and they're mostly healthy, then I'm probably going to be with you on the Ravens. So it really depends on the injury report. I will say, though, that I thought, at first glance that this line was super high. I was like 13. The Bengals have won 2 in a row. And then I looked at the computer model and it said Baltimore -19 is the correct number. So I'm like, okay. So maybe it's not that high. So, so it really depends on the injury report. Right now, I'm going to side with the Bengals, but I might switch to Baltimore.
Yeah, I feel like we had another one of these games where we were both like, that line looks ridiculously high. And then the computer model was like a good 6 or 7 points above it earlier in the year. I think it was like a -20 for the Ravens at one point. We were like, maybe we should be on the Ravens here. So this feels kind of similar to that game. But yeah, if both of those corners are out, I could see Brandon Allen covering for even if it's backdoor for the Bengals. But I just can't bring myself to bet against the Ravens right now. I'm going to try to stick with the hot quarterback and probably not bet this game. There are others on the slate I like a lot more.
You know what? I think that game you're referring to was when they were playing at Washington, and they were -13, and I think it said -20, and they ended up winning by 14. Which kind of it wasn't even as close as that sounds because the Redskins got a backdoor touchdown at the end. Or sort of, almost backdoor.
Yeah, that was definitely it. And Robert Griffin III had come in the game at that point and had thrown an interception. So it was like all sorts of mess in that game.
Yeah, imagine getting 14 and that happening. That's just a disaster. All right.